Hi, everyone, and welcome to this special episode of the Passive House Podcast, recorded in Tarrytown, New York at the PhiusCon 2021 Passive House Conference. Before we get started, I want to thank Phius for putting on the conference and for coordinating with us on these interviews, as well as NYSERDA for serving as conference partner with Phius and community partner with us here at the Passive House Accelerator. Thank you, too, to Rockwell North America. Their generous support underwrote all of these interviews as well as our coverage of the conference. With that, please enjoy my interview with Robert Blount of Rockwell North America. All right, I have Robert Blount here with Rockwell North America joining me for a conversation, a chat. I'm really excited about that. We are at PhiusCon, and all of the interviews that we're doing here at PhiusCon are underwritten by generous support from Rockwell North America. So first, thank you for that support, Robert. And second, thanks for sitting down to chat.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's also, we wouldn't have it any other way in terms of support. The accelerator's been amazing in terms of promoting great design and really kind of bringing everybody under one umbrella when it comes to all things passive house and sustainability.
Well, thank you. It's great to have Rockwell on as a founding sponsor of our work. And you also, with Manaz, just did a component spotlight with the accelerator that was very well attended and really a great program. So thanks for sharing that thought leadership there at the Component Spotlight as well.
Yeah, that was great. We've all been spending tons of time on the small screen.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't feel sometimes we don't feel we're getting the most that we could out of that small screen interaction, but that was really fantastic in terms of the amount of questions afterwards and the general interface with folks, and even some of those questions were a bit tough, and but that's why we're here is to talk about the tough questions. Yeah. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right?
Right. No. So you come to this work at Rockwell with an architectural background, is that right?
My background is actually in fine art, circuitous route, but yeah. I went to fine art school at Tyler School of Art, which is the art school for Temple University. Ran a production glass blowing facility, and that a lot of metal fabrication went along with that. Started to do some architectural commissions, and and I've always had a kind of a strong construction background, carpenter since I was a kid, and eventually kind of worked my way into altering a storefront and attaching a bunch of glass that we made to it. And because I'm a process-oriented person, I suppose, went into the weeds with what does storefronts look like and how do these things go together. And while I knew the general pretext of what that construction looks like, I really kind of nerded out on it. And, little did I know it then, but fast forward a bunch of years, and I ended up, in the consulting end of that world as a consultant for curtain wall and exterior enclosures.
And so how about your entree to high performance building? Were you already getting involved in that realm before your role at Rockwell, or has it been through Rockwell that's become part of your life, or
I would say it's been somewhat organic. I did somewhere between design background and commercial construction. I did a lot of historic restoration. I used Rockwell then in the part of the world that I live in, 150 years old house is a new house. So I did a lot of historic restorations on those types of structures, and knew it to be one of the better materials to use in terms of, there's lots of folks fill a home full of the wrong stuff in terms of thermal barrier and destroy what's managed to last a couple hundred years. Yeah. So that got my attention early on. I was then in New York City while I was working on my lead AP, really started to pay more attention to it. And that was also the time that I was doing a lot of work with curtain wall. And, when you're looking at glass and aluminum being your outward facing materials, it's really tough to be efficient. And that's where I kind of started really looking at, what's really driving the performance. And, what are the solutions that we can employ to get there. But of course, there's lots of rock wool and only the spandrels only of curtain walls, and also the slab edge fire safing and all those types of applications. But really, it wasn't like made a purposeful shift out of the curtain wall world, at least for a moment, because it's tough to turn those knobs in terms of efficiency.
So now that you're at Rockwool and you're interacting with the Passive House community quite a bit, and I know that the company has some pretty firm commitments to supporting organizations like the Passive House Accelerator and other Passive House organizations as well, and in their work. Can you talk a little bit more about why you're doing that? Why, like, how does Rockwool see its mission aligned with the mission of the Passive House world?
Well, a couple of things. I think that a lot of people in Passive House say we'd like to be out of a job in 10 years because this is just the way that people build.
Yeah.
So of course we're in the position of trying to educate and advocate and support for better building design, not only thermally, of course, from our perspective, but also in terms of air and vapor transmission. And so, to that end, we look at this as, the best path to, or the shortest path to where we want to be. We've embraced the Science-Based Targeting Initiative for outside analysis of what we're doing in terms of lowering our carbon footprint, but of course we want to support that in the built environment as well. So, we look at Passive House and other, zero energy design and net zero construction as hopefully a matter of course. And I feel fortunate that I live in Massachusetts, where we've got some of the most, I'd say, progressive code in the country. But there's 49 other states to go, and not everybody thinks alike. So we really want to be, helping to inform everybody from the guy that's putting it into the wall to the person that's deciding to put it into the wall and above, right? And hopefully on the policy level as well.
So where do you see this industry moving? I mean, you mentioned Massachusetts, and what do you think is on the horizon for Passive House, for high performance building, and
I'm excited about retrofit. When we talk about embodied carbon, I think aside from the fact that here are all these buildings 100 years old, even 70 years old, that are of course the worst offenders in terms of energy consumption, but there's already a ton of carbon sunk into those buildings, and whether they're historically significant structures or just structures that have more life in them. You take a 75-year life cycle analysis on anything that has 75 more years to go, and not only does it make sense in terms of a carbon embodiment strategy, but also just in dollars and cents, right? You look at all the energy that's going to be, all the dollars that are going to be expended maintaining and heating and cooling those buildings. When we improve the building science of a structure, even an old one, we probably do a good job of helping it to last longer as well. So, that's kind of ever since I worked, when I was an envelope consultant, enclosure consultant, it was always on the owner's side. And, so the owners are thinking about the bottom line. And, even early on when I was first had my lead AP, I always try to look at it from the other side, right? Like, okay, how do you make this make sense on a spreadsheet as well as for the planet? And, for the planet is always my first thought, but I always try to look on the other side of it as well.
I know that you're probably at the booth and interacting with practitioners and folks who are making decisions around specifying products. How has it been for you?
It's been great. I mean, there are a lot of fans of us here already. Lots of folks use our material, and so it's a little bit of like, hey, we love your material. Right. We use it all the time. Here's this one little problem I'd like to a kink I'd like to work out. Some folks who haven't used it much. And actually, this is my first PhiusCon.
Oh wow! Yeah,
I just started my CPHC in September, and as part of it, signed up for the Alliance. And
great.
So I've been to a number of other sustainability events, and but it's my first PhiusCon, so it's pretty exciting. And of course, we're 2 years into not seeing anybody, so getting to see all of you face to face
is pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Well, this has been great. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah,
it's been awesome to get to talk to you, and I know we have another component spotlight coming up somewhere next year.
Yeah,
and
we're looking forward to
as I come off of the backside of the first one last week, I really think we're probably going to concentrate on retrofits and
fantastic
as a piece of that, just based on the questions that came out of the first one, and probably get a little more weedy on us and carbon and how that relates to the other options out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, that'd be super interesting. Yeah, retrofits are they're just such an important piece of the puzzle that we have to solve, and there's a lot of interest, I think, from the audience, our broader Passive House Accelerator audience, in learning about solutions around retrofits and case studies around retrofits, and how to make that happen. So I think that's a smart move. I think there'll be a lot of interest.
Yeah, and we've just put together 2 new CEUs that have been pretty aggressively asked for around designing for sustainability and also for resilient retrofits.
Yeah,
that pieces I borrowed from pieces of those for the first component spotlight.
Sure,
but there's certainly lots more information there that we're happy to share.
Well, we'll look forward to it. Thank you, Robert.
Cool. Thank you, Zach.